So, hello everybody. Good morning. Here is Chung and Leon. This is the first delivery of Discovering Blockchain, a series of blockchain workshops with the collaboration of Oraichain, Chain platform, the biggest C labs from the University of Hanoi of Science and Technology, RSK, Internet of Value Labs, the Storm Network, Blockchain Hanoi, the community that we have here in Vietnam. Today we have a very interesting lineup. We have Oraichain giving a bit of an introduction to the platform. We have RSK also giving an introduction to smart contracts and blockchain. We have VeChain as well. And then we will have a little tutorial in terms of how to write dApps on RSK network. I will let you first with Chung that will give a broad introduction to Oraichain ecosystem, the ecosystem that they're building. They just launched the mainnet, so congratulations, Chung, and I will let you the word. I think you're on mute.
Hey, hello once. Thanks, Niels, for your introductions. So yeah, that's very nice. I be here and I have a presentation today. So yeah, let me introduce a little bit about Oraichain, and we have a very short introduction of what is Oraichain and also the blockchain in general. Okay, so let me show my slides and we can discuss together.
Sure, let me know when you're ready and we go with your presentation.
Just wait a minute, so some seconds. So yes, Lois, can you have to? Okay. Can you see my slide, Lois?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, it look good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So today I just want to show is one of the quite interesting use case for the Oraichain. So we conducted the global logistics. So how we can use the Oraichain for the global logistics. So before we go in more detail of the use case for logistics, so let me introduce a little bit about what is the Oraichain in general. So it's Oraichain is the first AI powered Oracle. So you know that there's many Oracle platform like training a band, but it's Oraichain is quite different from them. So we use kind of AIs and we try to take the off-chain AI model from the real world to the blockchains. So it means that it aims to revolutionize the AI-defined blockchain industries. So yeah, so the main function we try to aggregate and connect the artificial intelligence API to the smart contracts and regular applications. So we have several products now is will be released soon, and the first one is the AI Finance, and the second one is the AI Marketplace. So in this year, so we in our roadmap, so we still have some several AI related service like Data Hub, Request Hub, training service, public service, and also the web hosting in next year. So yeah, so based on the mission that we want to make a bridge between the AI and blockchains, so we want to propose that it kind of AI ecosystem and also the AI Oracle to the decentralized applications. So currently it's is a little bit introduce Reef tokens. So there's more than 8,000 wallets now is holding the Reef tokens, and we are now market cap is around $46 million. And we also have some several partner in Vietnam and also in Europe. We have a AI partner Viot and Viot and the partner from blockchain platform is Oraichain, and also the partner from software company is named Rikesoft. And okay, so I'm a CEO of Oraichain, and we also have us as a co-founder. So they are working in blockchain for several years, like our CEO of Vietnam, Mr. Thao, and also the CTO, Mr. Tu, and also as a PhD member here is the AI lead, Dr. Diệp. So she's in AI lead in our team, and so we have more than 25 people in our team, including 5 PhD from AI and blockchain field. Okay, so let's talk a bit. So what is the blockchain in general, right? So you know that it's there kind of so why we use the blockchains, and so what is the feature so the blockchain offer, and from my viewpoint, so blockchain can offer 3 things: the immutable, so it means that impossible to modify and change something in the data. The second one is decentralized. It means that your data will be distributed and there's no one control it. There's no centralized point. And the last one is the transparency. So that is very important when you want to make sure that everything is transparent. So everything you update or you modify, it will reflect it to the in the database. And so that's beyond the very 3 great things. So it make a kind of blockchain it very relevant and become kind of can be usable in many use case in a real world. And okay, so what is a smart contract? So that's a very important feature in blockchains. So in the way how we can understand the smart contract. So just imagine that when we define something, and if we meet the conditions, so then the logical inside we call that the electronic contract, so it will be executed. So for example, if the X provides a service, so the Y pays for it, so that we can define the smart contract. So when the service is complete, and the money will be transferred to the X. And so what is the Oracle problems? So that is kind of quite typical, and in the blockchain, we know that we have a real world data, and we have a decentralized application on the blockchains. But how we can connect the data from the real world, like the lottery round, the football match results? So that thing is happen in the real world, right? So how we can connect the real world data to the blockchain? So we need the Oracle. So Oracle is play a role like a middleman, and it makes that it's secure how we can get the data from outside world to the decentralized application. So here we mentioned that the smart contracts. And so how the Oraichain can is standing now is we detect that there are some kind of problem, like so how we can make good the consensus, and how we can avoid the attack from the modification from the outside world, and that's why we propose AI Oracle. So the AI Oracle will use the AI technology to from the outside world and make it usable to the smart contracts. So in the AI Oracle, so we also provide some kind of test case to check that if the API and the AI from the outside world is correct or is not modified, and it can become kind of input source for the smart contracts. And so let's see some very briefly comparison between the Oracle and AI Oracle. And in our AI Rocco, we support more input and output designed for the AI request. So it's not just the raw data like price, and we also provide the way we can process the data in advance, and it becomes more reliable to the smart contracts. The second one is AI Rocco can verify the logics by using the test case. So we can give the test case to the one API source, and if this API source can pass the test case, so it can. So after that, it can become the input source for the smart contract. The third one is the AI Rocco can support the on-chain data processing. It can trigger the real-world event from the outside. And the last one also important is the AI Rocco can have to together the kind of contribution from different kind of AI developer and AI scientists. So so for the one sentence can describe what is the AI Rocco. So it's bring kind of a kind of new technology to smart contracts. So it's more secure, it's faster, and AI friendly, and we can bring kind of totally new range of decentralized applications to our blockchain and also the real world. Okay, so we just launched our mainnet 3 days ago, and it's now you can check our mainnet on right.io, and so from now the mainnet become our foundations, and we can run it more use case and more decentralized application on our mainnet. And so far we are going to release some use case here. So the first one is so you might know is that we call the YI.finance. So that kind of defines platform using the kind of unique AI-based feature from Oraichain. And the second one we also going to release is the AI Marketplace. We already deployed the hundreds AI API to our AI infrastructure, and we are ready to release the AI Marketplace with the GUI, and user can go and can buy and can sell their AI API service on our Oraichain AI Marketplace. So the last one, not the last one, I mean the third one is also important. We are going to release it's called the AI Right. So it's kind of AI generated copyright system. It means that if you generate your image, your music using the AI, so how we can you can protect your own copyright, and how we can certify your copyrights from your AI model. So that the idea. So we use the Oraichain to protect that is the data is generated from the AI is become copyright, and you can sell or you can sell your own kind of music or image is generated from the AI. Okay, so we let's move to our main use case today. So we want to propose more use case for Oraichain, and what we propose here is that we want to have the global logistic, and there's kind of different thing in here we can the Oraichain can have in different kind of industry of the logistic. For example, in the port or marine hub, and we can use kind of blockchains to make that it's faster, and to make the all the document stuff become easier to access. And so now the COVID it now becomes a problem, so we can travel, and that's why the global logistic now also become very important topic. So how we can make it visualize the global logistic information system. And yeah, so we are here to Oraichain so to propose some kind of solution to the global logistics, the transformations. And so let's see. So so what is the current status of the blockchains in the logistic? So there are some kind of platform, open platform in the it have to like you can see here is the IBM and They also propose that kind of blockchain platform to help the speed up the international shipping trade and make it the more organization and more reliable. And so that they call that the end-to-end digitalization of global trade. So it means that all of the logistic hub or all of the port and you can connect it together using the blockchains. And so the purpose here, so we want to reduce the paperwork, and we want to have a standard data format can be used globally in many countries and everywhere is related to the logistic. And how blockchain can help here? It makes the data more transparent. It makes the faster trading transactions, so you can payment and you can have kind of LC, right? Let the credit very easily using the blockchains, and also you can pay for your good using the kind of token and any kind of cryptocurrency. And the last point here is how blockchain can help is can create very just environments. So there's no central point. So no one is own the infrastructure, and all of the party joining in the network now become kind of owner of the network, and it's managed together. And when we have more people and more parties join the network blockchain, so we can make it more secure. But so there are some kind of question raised here to kind of current solutions of the blockchain for the logistic. So the first one is what happened if the input data of transaction is changed before use in the smart contract? And yeah, so that's a very typical question for Oracle. And for example, if the exchange rates of the two currency is different, right? So if someone is trying to modify it, and how we can prevent, so that is the first typical problem from the Oracle. And the second one is how we can verify the stakeholder. Now, kind of he involving to the making the transactions, and this kind of problem more related to the humans. Like for example, when you one driver, so he drive a car, but now somebody is instead of him to will drive a car, and how we can detect the fake driver, and that also kind of current problem now for the logistic, right? When we have a many party to join to the our logistic supply, and so how we can detect the fake driver and also kind of fake car or many kind of fake thing we can detect from our other party. And the next one is the problem is how we can integrate any AI function to the system. How we can change the AI model in the logistic. And I think there's kind of many places we can use AI in the logistic. Like we can how we can read the handwriting and convert it to the kind of digitalized. And so that based on the three questions, so we want to solve it. And the Oraichain can how Oraichain can help here is the first one is Oraichain can verify the data based on some kind of AI technique to detect the abnormality from every transactions. So it means that if the price it trends and modify updated by someone from outside, so we can detect it, and we can learn from the model, and we can learn from pattern, and it make our input data is more secure. And the second one is we can use the AI Oracle on the Oraichain to detect some kind of authentication like biometrics. So we can check that if the driver is a fake or not based on their photo, based on their biometrics. So I think that is very helpful for the smart contract can verify that kind of information. And so the last one is that we also can easy to get kind of how we can integrate any AI functionality to the system, and we can trust any AI model in the outside world to the blockchains. Okay, so so from very kind of the reasons of why we need the AI model. So that is the smart contract is cannot run the AI model, and inside so there are some kind of several reasons. So the first one is the strictness. So you know that is AI model can not ensure that it's a 100% accuracy, and that's why we need kind of the way to make it the trade-off between the accuracy and the usability from the user experience in the smart contracts. And the second one is the environment. So smart contract is typical written in the high-level language like Solidity and Rust, but the AI model typical written in Python and Java. And the data size as well. So smart contract is very small storage space, but AI model is bigger. So we based on that kind of foundation reasons, so that's why we provide the AI Oracle. Okay, so let's see the overall functionality here we propose. So how we can the Oraichain's AI Oracle is located between the logistic and the blockchains, and so from the logistics side, so we have a digital data, we have a paper data, and how we can make the paperless environments. So how we can standardize the data structure from multi-source in logistic. So how we can translate the default language like English to the local language. And so that's the reason you can see so many kind of model, the module we locate here in the Oraichains. So we have a language translation, we have a OCR, it can help to read the handwriting or document it from the paper. And we also have a kind of the way we check that if the transaction is valid or not, and we can get kind of the predict result from the transactions. And yeah, so there's many kind of AI technique we can apply here to the logistic, and it makes blockchain stronger, and it make it's the way we can apply the paperless environment is better. And yeah, so this Oraichains now can get a very good position now between the blockchain for the logistic. Okay, so so that is kind of use case of logistics. So let me describe a bit about the kind of what is the AI ecosystem on Oraichains. And you can see on I mentioned before on the logistics slides, there's many kinds of AI service and many kinds of AI technology it can apply to the smart contract on blockchains. And what we divide here, we have a type two ecosystem. The in the right hand side, the blockchain ecosystem. So yeah, so it will be include the AI power Oracle and the smart contract version 2, and it better for the version 1 on without AI, and the consensus and infrastructure. But in the side of the left hand side, the AI ecosystem. So we have a provide the AI marketplace, and that's the second use case we are going to release soon. And in the quarter in March and also in quarter 2 and quarter 3 of this year, so we are going to release the request hub and the data hub. And also interesting thing is the training service and allocating service. So that it now become more common in the outside world. So we want to get the training data, so how we can people the label data and can become kind of data source for the AI model. So we provide that kind of annotation service. So anyone on the world, so if they have time, so they can join to the kind of annotation service and provide more data to the AI. And yeah, so now we have a two ecosystem, AI and blockchains, and we can have many application to can get the benefit from kind of two sources here. And the application here can maybe from Web3. Web3 is that kind of definitions of the vision. So how we can make the web is more decentralized. So there's no central point in the web. So the future of internet should be the Web3. And the enterprise. So from many companies, we are now also trying to partner and find more companies can join to have the application on the Oraichain. And the DeFi also very important thing is how we can use AI for the DeFi. And the academia, so that the other story we want to have more educational and things stuff in combine between the AI and blockchains. Okay, so I think that's on for our presentation today. So you can contact us and have other information on our website and white paper and also mediums. So very much more information I present today. So yeah, thank you for your attention. So if you have any question, you can ask. Leos. Yeah, your microphone.
Sorry, coming back. How are you doing? It was a great presentation. Thank you very much. Do we have some questions from the?
Yeah. So do you have any question, right? So how we can get the question here?
It's in the right side in comments.
I see. Yeah.
So I do have a question about the use case. Like, who are you partnering with in order to do the logistics project?
Yeah, we are looking for the partner from the logistic, and yeah, there's one we are trying to approach now, and I hope that we can get kind of in the logistic and make it Oraichain usable in the logistic field.
What was the status of the development?
Can you say again?
What is the status of the development?
Yeah. So and thing is you know that the AI marketplace is ready, so we can use any kind of AI API on for logistic, and we are ready for the infrastructure, and now we need kind of real partner, and the partner can have to push more kind of AI use case to the logistic.
That's great. What are the next use cases that you're planning to release? Do you have a roadmap on that?
So far we in next 3 months, so we will release that 3 use case, and logistics that it kind of the thing is not in the roadmap, but yeah, sure. So we will try to find a partner, and it can have to push kind of logistic use case more usable.
Sounds great. I think Kien is asking in Facebook if you're using GPT-3 or something similar for your AI, or what kind of solutions are you using there? I don't know if that's a very technical question.
Yeah. I don't know what is the GPT-3s, but I think it's our AI Rocco is we are the first one, and we also applying for the patent for our AI Rocco architecture. So it should be that's maybe less competitor now on the market now for the AI Rocco, the combination between the AI and blockchains. Well, I cannot say anything now about the logistic partner, so it's still kind of working in progress, and we have some NDA and still working on.
Confidentiality. Yeah, I totally understand. So we have also Eddy with us now. Eddy, your screen.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Leon. Hi, Thao. Hi.
So RSK also has a few use cases on the logistics industry, right? Like Dexfreight.
Yes, that's right. Dexfreight is using a mix of technologies, and one of them is RSK, in order to manage a fleet of trucks, mainly in the United States. Yes, and to make sure that it's optimized in terms of how the trucks are used, and at the same time there are some applications around the payment for the service providers. So yeah, it's very interesting use case of that technology. Yeah.
That's great. Maybe you guys should connect and then see how you can link Oraichain there.
Yeah, sure. So yeah,
Okay.
so why not? So we can.
Sure.
Okay, well,
Sure. Open. Of course.
Thank you very much, Chung,
Interesting
for the presentation. Please send me the links and we will post them on all the socials, so the people has access to the presentation of Oraichain and the content. And now we will move to RSK and Internet of Value Labs with Eddy. So
Okay.
Eddy, feel free to start and to present if you will need.
Yes, I have some slides. Let me share. Okay. It's the first time I use this one, so I'm going to. Okay, so it should be fine here. Okay, can you see my screen?
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes, I'm the regional director of Asia Pacific at IOV Labs. I've been in Asia for a long time. I'm supposed to do this out of Singapore, but due to travel restrictions, I'm not in Singapore at the moment. But I'm not too far. I'm in China, and I'm going to give you an introduction of what is IOV Labs and what has been achieved until now. What are the plans? Before that, let's just introduce myself. So I've been in this space for a long time, let's say, for cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I've been involved in this space since 2013. I've been active in it. I've been investing in different blockchain technologies, and actually one of them was RSK at the time, called Rootstock, for those who have been around for a while. And also organized the first digital currency event in Asia, in Singapore, back in November 2013. And people can find me on the Twitter account, Startup Eddy. So just I'm conscious of the fact that some people will find this redundant. Obviously, people who already have some knowledge about blockchain. But for those who are just starting to look into it, and there is a brief intro. I'll try to make it as quickly as possible. So these are two of the images I usually use in conjunction with explaining blockchain. The first one on the top there is the first form of human writing, which happens to be a ledger. It dates back to around 3500 BC, found in a part of Turkey today. So basically, it demonstrates the fact that ledgers have always been extremely important for human civilization, obviously as a way to keep track of resources. In the early cases, of course, we're talking about agricultural resources. But today, as we all know, we use ledgers to keep track of all resources, and obviously accounting is one form of that. So then when blockchain arrived, it actually arrived with Bitcoin in end of 2008 and then launched in early 2009. This introduced a new type of ledger, a shared digital ledger, and Bitcoin enabled what we call digital scarcity. So it's the first time that we can actually make sure that one digital item is actually scarce and is not, and we cannot spend it twice, which I will explain a little bit later what that means. So when Bitcoin and blockchain arrived, a few years later, it was often compared to email and internet. So basically, blockchain as the infrastructure, Bitcoin as an application, in the same way internet and email have been born much while ago. So, and then in 2015, with the introduction of new technologies like Ethereum, new blockchains, then we have the introduction to something called smart contracts, which brought programmability and business logic into the blockchain world, because initially it was more about making payments, peer-to-peer payments in a secure fashion. This is when the economist mentioned, for example, the trust machine. I believe that was in 2015, end of 2015, meaning that blockchain technology can, in a way, become a new way of trusting different parties that don't know each other. So this is what I was saying. So basically, blockchain is this distributed ledger. I think probably most of you know how it works, but just as a quick background, you have these nodes on a network, and this distributed ledger records the transactions, and the nodes have to form what we call a consensus mechanism, and make sure that they approve and validate the transactions. And the sets of transactions are recorded into blocks, and the different blocks create a blockchain. So that's a very basic understanding of a description of how blockchain works. We're going to see a little bit more in details. This is how basically you're using the combination of public and private keys to sign messages to make sure that only the owner of the private key can send the message, and this is what is used for transactions on the blockchain. As I was saying, blockchain introduced what we call a digital scarcity, meaning that someone who owns a Bitcoin or a fraction of Bitcoin is the only one that can spend that Bitcoin. He cannot do what we call double spending, which was a very common problem with any other form of digital currencies that came before Bitcoin, as there were several trials, let's say, of digital currencies. And therefore, Bitcoin solved that problem thanks to the blockchain and to the fact that these transactions cannot be amended, tampered with. Otherwise, you basically break the whole blockchain. So why do you break the blockchain? It's because mainly the blocks are actually related to each other, linked through this what we call the hash or the block header, block hash. And also, as well, the fact that each block is timestamped. So each transaction is timestamped in the block. So this is all. So actually, these technologies, hashing, obviously, encryption, private key, public key, were all existing. It's just a new way to combine them together that created this very now powerful payment system, payment mechanism, which has been going on since 2009. And as we know, there are many different new blockchains, clones of some kind, and new blockchains that have emerged since then. This is quickly, again, it's just about the different types of consensus. I mean, there are more than these, but here just looking at two main ones. Proof of work, basically meaning that you need a computer to solve some kind of challenge in order to create new blocks in a blockchain. You need to make sure that you have computing power to do this, to solve these puzzles, and that enables the system to function and to protect it from what we call attacks, different form of attacks. One of them is called the 51% attack, by controlling 51% of these, let's say we call today miners that do this operation. And proof of stake, where participants validate transactions, but they are actually staking a certain amount of value in order to do so. And if they fail to follow the rules of the consensus mechanism, then they are penalized and maybe they can lose their stake. So these are the two, let's say, main types of consensus mechanism, without going too much into detail. And then we'll see, you know, so Bitcoin famously uses proof of work, and we'll see how that works with the RSK blockchain. Again, cryptocurrencies, this is a medium of exchange on these blockchains. As I was saying, no double spending with cryptocurrencies. Well, as long as, of course, the network has not been attacked successfully by anyone. And we probably, as you know, there are very many different cryptocurrencies. I would just separate them simply into the native cryptocurrencies of blockchain, like Bitcoin or Ether. And then you have, for example, today, thanks to smart contracts, a multitude of tokens, which are cryptocurrencies that are, let's say, managed and governed by smart contracts on blockchains. So there are many blockchain applications here. Quickly, just separate into a few different, let's say, areas. You have smart contracts today actually pervasive into many of these areas, you know. But let's say you have the sharing economy, of course, that can use blockchain applications. The rights, as we saw in the previous presentation, Oraichain presenter was mentioning copyrights. Of course, gambling, betting. Then you have the whole retail, financial services, banking that can use digital currencies at different levels or can use blockchain. And some of them try to use blockchain without digital currency, which in my opinion is a challenge, but some companies are trying that. Record keeping, making sure that the information has been recorded at a certain time. So blockchain can help with that. It can help with that in healthcare, in land rights, title records, voting as well, IP. And then you have the whole sector, which you may be familiar with because it's basically one of the most successful applications of blockchain so far, which is investments, either investments and trading of cryptocurrencies. Some of them use blockchain, not all of them. And as well, moving some assets, which I would call asset tokenization, onto the blockchain. So that can work for securities, can work for real estate, can work for different forms of financial instruments. So now let's speak about RSK. And as I said, it was originally called Rootstock. Now it's called RSK, and now it's managed by this company called IOV Labs, Internet of Value Labs, which is a company set up in Gibraltar. But a lot of the team is actually comes from Latin America as let's say the core founding team. This is where they are from. So the main feature of RSK is the fact that it combines Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what does that mean? That means that RSK runs as a sidechain to Bitcoin. It's also using merge mining, which means that the Bitcoin miners actually provide the security for the RSK network, for the RSK blockchain. And as well, on the RSK blockchain, it's completely compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, meaning that you can run smart contracts. So that's a very interesting part about RSK, is that it's secured by the Bitcoin network, but offers all of the flexibility and programmability of Ethereum type smart contracts. Now there is I'm not going to go too far into that, but there is a way for the Bitcoin, let's say, to be represented on the sidechain. So the Bitcoin is represented on the sidechain as what we call RBTC, which is basically a layer 2 Bitcoin. And there is a power peg between Bitcoin and RBTC to make sure that actually at all times 1 RBTC equals 1 Bitcoin. And as I was saying, any Solidity smart contract can work, can function, can be programmed on the RSK blockchain. That's quite powerful. It means that there are all the solutions that people may be familiar with on Ethereum, and of course, new solutions can work on the RSK blockchain. The merge mining is great. It actually uses some kind of untapped power of the Bitcoin miners. And it means that the RSK blockchain is actually protected and secured by a very large portion, of the hash rate that is actually protecting Bitcoin. So that's why we mention increased security here. So very quickly, what are smart contracts? I mean, smart contracts have often been compared in a way to a vending machine system, whereby you have a very simple transaction. You give the machine a coin, and then there is a very kind of deterministic result of that, which is giving you a can of soda. So it's similar. It's kind of a input-output type of contract, which is self-executing on the blockchain. And it basically has the same input-output process, whereby you input some data and there is a result that will come out of it. And it's basically lines of code running on a blockchain. And that's actually very powerful because, some smart contracts can be quite simple and some can be much more complex, depending, of course, on the coding skills of the developers. And what you want to achieve. So I think, as you may know, smart contracts are the basis of a lot of innovations in the space, such as decentralized finance, tokens in general, NFTs, and so forth. So let's look at some use cases that are going on RSK. So just to give you some background, we invested in RSK back in 2016. So when I say we, is because I'm also the CEO of an investment company called Coincilium, so in addition to being the regional director of IOV, because we have a joint venture in Singapore for that. So when we invested in 2016, this was really like the early days of the RSK technology. But since then, they have moved to Mainnet now for more than 2 years. And they have really something that is functioning, something that is powerful, and many use cases already using this technology. So as Leon was mentioning, there is one called DexFreight, which is working on shipping and logistics in the US. But I will talk about some other use cases here as well. Well, probably, as you know, Argentina is known for quality meats, and there is this use case called carnes validadas in Argentina, which basically means meats which have been validated in a way or certified. And so they're using blockchain-based provenance to reduce food fraud and contamination. So basically following the whole supply chain, which is a common use cases in a common use case of blockchain, where you can follow the whole supply chain of, in this case, meats, for example, and food in general that is already in application in many countries. And the reason why they use blockchain is because they want to make sure that no one can tamper with the information. The data is secure, time-stamped, so you know exactly where the meat is coming from and when it has been inserted in this supply chain. So that's one great use case for RSK. Another one is land rights on the blockchain. So this is very important use case as well, unlocking billion-dollar assets for people who may have land and is not recognized officially by governments, or there have been corruption issues, or there have been problems with just with the material of the land ownership representation, which is, for example, paper, can be destroyed or can be lost. And therefore, making sure that the land rights are recorded on the blockchain is a great way to secure these assets, and also gives the potential to these owners to actually use it, for example, as collateral for loans, and therefore unlocking really a very large amount of wealth in a way that is currently locked because the land rights are not properly recognized. Another use case for RSK, again in Latin America, is called GasNet. So it's basically a cooperation with an IT vendor called Grupo Sabra and one of the large gas providers, utility companies in Argentina called GasNor. So they're using blockchain to make sure that the customer onboarding time cycle has been reduced. I mean, the customer onboarding process was very slow before, was very long to get gas installed in some houses, or just switching accounts. And now they're doing this much more easily through their system using blockchain as well. So this is one other example of kind of a large scale blockchain application in what we call the real economy. So let's quickly look at the different tools that you can use with RSK. So there is one, let's say, dimension of RSK called the RSK Infrastructure Framework, also known as Reef, and where we have Reef OS. So there are different services in Reef. There is something called Reef Storage. There is a Reef Name service, which enables human-readable wallet addresses for exchanging value in exchanging cryptocurrencies. There is a fast payment system called Lumino Network. There is a Reef Marketplace, and there is an identity solution as well. If you are interested, please go to developers.rsk.co. This is the RSK developers portal, and you will find quite a lot of information there on these different solutions. Let me just go quickly over some of those. So first of all, at the heart of this Reef ecosystem, let's say, you have what we call the Reef Token. And Reef Token means it's basically the token ERC-677 token standard for the Reef ecosystem, and it's listed and it's available. You can have a look at it in terms of what it does as well in the ecosystem. It basically enables to pay these services. So one of these services is Reef Storage, which is an open, censorship-resistant, permissionless, and decentralized storage protocol. So it's also an interface to third-party storage providers that you may know, such as IPFS or Swarm. So that's one example of a storage protocol that you can use, and that has been developed specifically by the RSK technological team. And this is of course something that you can as well pay using the Reef token. These are some examples of partnerships and the fact that you can work with this. There is a partnership between Reef and Swarm, but you can also work in a similar way as Filecoin and IPFS. You can work between Swarm and the Reef Storage solution. RNS name service, very useful as well. You can use this .rsk names that you can actually apply for through the RNS name service and this is quite easy because it means that you can send, for example, value to someone's name.rsk. It makes it much easier to remember and to locate and to make sure that's the right receiver of your cryptocurrencies. So I think that's very useful in this sense. I mean, this is a service that exists on other blockchains, but the RNS makes it quite global as well. They have different extensions, and I think it's a very good improvement of the UX for end users on crypto. The issue being always that we want, as advocates of the sector, we want mass adoption, but mass adoption can only occur when we remove some of the usual friction and UX kind of quirks, meaning that not everyone wants to deal with let's say very long addresses and so forth. So that's one of them. So it's great to remove this barrier to adoption. So this is an example here of the name on the R wallet. So basically rwallet.rsk is part of the name service, and you can have a lot of kind of subdomains like milton.rwallet.rsk, and that's how you can use this service. It's very cheap to use, and it's also payable with Reef. I've used it many times, and it works very well, and it's integrated into many different wallets that are working with Reef and RBTC. Then you have the Reef Lumino network, which is, of course, a bit similar to the Lightning network, let's say, protocol creating an abstraction layer to access different payment networks. But in the full version, actually, it allows cross-token and cross-network payments. So that's quite useful and interesting for cryptocurrency users. In the light version, it allows light clients to access the Reef payments full, but without any loss of security and decentralization in the process. In the space of cryptocurrencies and blockchain, there can be this trade-off, between security and decentralization, and this is something here that is solving this in the context of payments. And there's also the Reef Payments Exchange, which is used to discover intra-token exchange rates and optimizing routing. I mean, routing is really an important part of these payment systems, payment mechanism, let's say, such as Lightning Network, and in this case, the Reef Lumino network. Of course, one of the aim of the Lumino networks is mainly to, as well, make the transactions cheaper, which are already substantially cheaper on RSK than, a large degree of magnitude cheaper than some other blockchains like Ethereum, but also, to make it fast and to make it secure, so faster, cheaper, and more secure. These are quickly some graphs that you can find on the developer portal explaining how it works in more concrete terms. And you please look at the developers.rsk.co dev portal, so you can check for that. But actually, yeah, this is a marketplace. I see there was a question. Thank you, Chandal, for this. So this is a Reef Marketplace. So basically, the Reef Marketplace is aggregating the services, and the services can be accessed and paid through and selected and paid through the Reef Marketplace. And as well, that's where they connect with their end users and customer. So we're talking about here decentralized sharing economies that can be connected to this on top of this RSK and RSK infrastructure framework. It's building all the tools that are necessary to have services provided through this RSK infrastructure. So we're talking about the services I mentioned before: storage, payments, communications, and new ones like data services. And these are sold through this marketplace. And there is a new one which is in the works at the moment, which is Reef Identity. So Reef Identity is the identity and reputation layer within the Reef ecosystem. So this is a digital identity solution for decentralized economies. So obviously extremely important in a time where we want to have more decentralized services, and we want to have a self-sovereign identity and reputation solution like this. This is mainly as well to help with one of the main missions, let's say, of the IUV labs, which is financial inclusion. So if you're excluded from the traditional financial system, it is very important that you build a reputation, of course, that very securely related to your identity, on a separate platform that is kind of not the mainstream traditional financial system from which you are somehow excluded because of X and Y reasons, maybe lack of identity papers or lack of access to certain services, like the unbanked or the underbanked in the world. So the main goal of the Reef Identity is to protect the user's data and, of course, maintain privacy, and making sure they can access these services. Thank you very much. And I see that I have some questions, so let me address those if that's fine. Just making sure I come back. Yeah, so I see that. So I covered the marketplace, and you're talking about the transaction fees on the RSK network. Yeah, the transaction fees on the RSK network, they are paid in RBTC. Although now there is a solution called enveloping, which enables to basically pay for the fees when you send, for example, an RSK-based token. But the transaction fee still remains extremely competitive compared to, for example, Ether, and it's really a degree of magnitude lower than Ether, despite the fact that it is somehow linked, yes, to the Bitcoin price, but it's still extremely low. Yeah. Do you have any demo application based on Reef framework? That would have to be done by my colleague who's more technical and more in charge of the developer side of things than I am. I'm more involved with the, let's say, commercial and partnership side of IUV Labs. So I will arrange that with Leon, I believe.
Yes, sure. So apart from all these use cases that you were mentioning, there are some dev tools or actually uses cases that are being prioritized by RSK or IOV Labs.
Yeah, so we have yes, there are two use cases that are available, to which I can share, which are like case studies in a way, which describing the problem and the solution that has been created for that. But again, on the tech side, like the Reef tools implementation, I think my colleague on the dev side, DevNet side, will help with that. Yeah.
Okay, and does IOV Labs have a program to incubate ideas of the community, a grants program? And as an entrepreneur or developer, what opportunities do you have?
Yes. So we last year actually we co-organized with a company called Indoors. We co-organized something called the post-COVID hackathon. So that was one way to interact with the teams, the different members of the technical team, and some of the RSK partners like Blockchain for Humanity, for example. So there are either punctual times like hackathons during which, as a developer, you can propose a project, and there are some grants available through the hackathon. But there is also a grant program, but I'm not sure about the status. I'll have to share with you, and you can share with your participants a link for that. But there are ways, yes, to submit, let's say, ideas to build on RSK. Yes, sure.
And in terms of hackathons, is there anything happening soon, or there's something planned on that line?
It's not any other question from the audience?
I have the last question, and it's if I want to know more about the tech and the community, where should I go first? Where is the community more active? I think we lost you, or I have a bad internet. Min, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Could you help me?
Okay, how are you doing? Well, we lost Eddy. How are you doing, Min? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So, well, Min here will be introducing us B-Chain and B-Chain's ecosystem and the developments that they're doing. Probably showing some use cases of the technology.
Yeah.
So, Min, do you want to take the lead and go ahead?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Nguyen from KC Lab, one of lab in research lab in UST, University of Science and Technology. And today I'm very happy to give my presentation. To give my presentation today, we have one member of our lab, Mr. Nguyen. And so let's say my screen. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Like, feel free to share whatever you want. I think you're having an issue with your microphone, so if you can get closer to the screen or maybe use earphones,
Yes.
will be better.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
So we have also Quan Dinh from the Blockchain Labs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Nice.
So could you see?
There we are.
Could you see my presentation? Yeah.
So feel free to start presenting now.
Okay. So today I would like to give my presentation about VeChain platform. It's a blockchain-based platform for development and deployment of decentralized application. So we are from BKC App, as I presented before. Together today, we have a bit of funding from our lab. So you can see on the slides the link to go to the website of VeChain platform. And I would like to show some information about the VeChain platform process. We have a starting point is research and development process and followed by in group in 2 years. And in the last year, we are one of the best product at the Yantai. That is one of the challenge.
The sound is not very clear. So if you can speak slowly and closer to the microphone or use earphones would be better. I don't know if that will work.
Yes, sorry. So it's better. It's better. So yes,
Yeah, that's better.
yes. So I would like to continue. Our VeChain platform is one of the best product at the nhân tài đất Việt. In the last 2 years, nhân tài đất Việt is one of the very famous challenge in tournament in Vietnam. And based on the VeChain, we created some solution like B contract, B KYC, B agree, B bot, and so on. So, for example, B contract is one of the application allow two party to sign the contract, and all the data will be stored on the blockchain. And B agree is one of the solutions that create the way for farmer, for user, customer to trade their own. The distribution process of agricultural product and so on. So you can go to our website to check the information about the VeChain also on the slide. And yes, as the Dr. Chung now and Eddy already presented about the feature of blockchain in the two last presentation. We also saw some feature of the blockchain technology is a decentralized. Yes, we do not have any third party to control the network, control the data if we use a blockchain technology, and the data stored on the blockchain can be achieved the immutable feature. So we cannot change the data when the transaction or data packet inside the block. And the next one is a security. All the party in the blockchain can be anonymous, and we do not frequent the problem of attract because the data are copied to many nodes in the P2P network. And the last one is the blockchain 2.0 is a smart contract. We can create a contract by coding. And we define some condition inside the contract, and if the condition will be met by anyone, anything, and all the condition already met, the contract will be run automatically. So this is the main feature of blockchain technology, and our vision is that when the developer would like to create an application based on the blockchain network, so at the time the developer have to familiar with blockchain network, blockchain technology, and they also have to learn about how to create, how to write smart contract in different programming language. And in this way, there are many difficult for them. Especially if they have a legacy application and they would like to move the application to the blockchain. So how to transform the application to adapt the requirement of the blockchain technology. So maybe the developer have to spend a lot of time to learn, a lot of time to familiar with different technology. So another question is that which blockchain network we should use. We have many blockchain network like Ethereum. This is very famous at the time, and we also have some other solution in open source kind like Hyperledger Fabric or Hyperledger Sawtooth. So we have to choose one of them to deploy our application. So VeChain is proposed to resolve the problem, and we would like to make everything with the blockchain technology easy with the blockchain platform. So in this way, the developer, when they use VeChain platform, they can reduce the time to develop the app. This is one of our mission with the VeChain platform. And the time can be reduced from month to day to develop or deploy application on the blockchain network. So in this slide, I would like to show some information about the VeChain architecture to help you to understand easily about how to create the app, or how to VeChain deploy the app on the blockchain. The lowest layer in the VeChain platform is the infrastructure. So we allow user to deploy the node on the infrastructure, like based on AWS, based on the cloud data center, or even they can use a server to deploy their node. For example, in this picture, we have a CDCT. This is our node in AUSD. So, and VeChain platform provide some function to help developer or application contact or interact with the blockchain engine. So we call blockchain engine. It means hyperledger, Sawtooth, Ethereum, IPFS, or anything the blockchain platform at the time. So in this way, we have to create some driver to allow the VeChain platform or the app application to interact with the blockchain engine. So at the time, VeChain support three kinds of the blockchain network, including Ethereum, Hyperledger Fabric, and Hyperledger Sawtooth. We also support the data to store on the IPFS, public IPFS at the time to store the data on the decentralized ladder. So the next one, in the VeChain platform, we create some core services. The core services have seven services like smart contract, data model, and resource management. So why we should have a smart contract? Because developer, when they create the app, they build some business process, and when we would like to transform the application to the blockchain environment, so we have to transform the business process to the smart contract. In VeChain platform, we have developer automatically create smart contract in that interacting with the blockchain engine at the lower layer. So data model service allow developer to create some, data model when mapping data from the application to the blockchain engine. So resource management, we create a service to enable user to control, manage, deploy the application and the blockchain engine on different infrastructure. So the next one, the utility services. Utility services is this set of the different services and enable the app or developer to easier to use VeChain platform. For example, VNG, this one, VNG help to user to put the data from the application or business process to the different blockchain network depend on the requirement of the application. For example, I create application and I would like to deploy the application to the Ethereum, or I would like to deploy the application to Hyperledger Fabric. So I will use the VeChain engine to put the data to there. So you can see the V engine will use a smart contract service at the lower layer to define the business process, and based on the driver of the Ethereum or Hyperledger Fabric, the data will be put to the network without any obstacle and without any barrier for the application or developer. So the next one is monitoring. This is like the explorer for the application and developer to control, to visualize the data, how to data to put to the blockchain network, and how to the data store on the blockchain network, and the health of the blockchain network that they put data to there. So otherwise, we have many other services like V-mapping. V-mapping is one of the services belonging to the utility services, and V-mapping when we map the data outside the blockchain to the inside blockchain. It means we have the data of outside blockchain like database, but during the operating of application, the data will be put to the blockchain. So the developer or application will use the V mapping to map the data from the outside to the inside the blockchain. So beside one of the service to enable every actor of the application to sign of their transaction. So we will use the vSign to identify or make the secure of the data flow inside the VChain platform and also inside the business process of the application developed by the VChain platform. So VTrade is one of the service to enable the user to trace the data. If you put data to the blockchain network like Ethereum, we have had to the task is trace the transaction. So we try also to have the user to trace all the data stored inside the blockchain. And with storage, we develop with storage based on the IPFS at the time. So we can use the data in the decentralized ways. The data of the application. So for the app at the time, we create a decentralized, anti-decentralized environment with the blockchain engine, with the storage, and also with the compute environment for the app. So in this way, we achieve the decentralized in entire decentralized environment for decentralized application. We also create a coin for the VChain platform and the application deploy on the VChain platform. So if you would like to create our developer coin for the app, so you can use the Vcoin to create the token or cryptocurrency for the app. And VChain platform will manage the coin and connect the coin together with the blockchain engine. And we also provide the functionality convert from one coin to another coin in a easier way. And in this way, VChain platform provides V1 for the application, for user of the application and for the user of the VChain platform. So at the end, the portal or service and API of the VChain platform, we provide different way to connect to and use the VChain platform. The first one is the web and portal. So you can use the web and portal to define the data model and define the API and then we can expose the API for their application to call. And we also use model technology like GraphQL to user to call the data stored inside the blockchain through the VChain platform. So this is the architecture, the brief architecture of VChain platform. I'd like to show to you to understand how to VChain platform work and how to VChain platform to become in. So based on the VChain platform, we enable developer to create a marketplace of different decentralized applications. So you can see, for example, in the domain of agriculture, we create a BRG to track all the data and all the process of product, agricultural product. And another thing is that we have a B-box solution in this B storage. We have Dropbox and Google Drive, and B-box is one of the our solution provide for the end user to store the data in the decentralized way. And VeChain platform enable people to store the data in IPFS anyway. And in the domain of the side contract between different party, as I mentioned before, we provide the e-contract solution. So end user in different party can sign a contract, and all the data will be stored inside the blockchain network, and we can be traced all the data inside the contract. This is one of our solutions, and you can trace the transaction on the blockchain network for each contract. Yes, and next one in the domain of education, we provide reserve is one of solution to store the certificate from the school, from the university, and at the time, reserve is one very powerful or very strong solution at the time, because based on the VeChain, reserve can be used to store the also besides the certificate, we can use reserve to store the education or learning process of the learner. So all of the grade of each courses can be use reserve to store inside blockchain, and after 1 year, 2 years, and many class, we can collect all the result of the learner, and based on that, we issue the certificate for the learner without any paperless. Certificate for the learner. And otherwise, we can based on VeChain platform to create other applications. So developer do not need to have expert knowledge about the blockchain to deploy and develop their application, and they only need to know how to use the VeChain with the RESTful API or web portal to define the data model for the application, or how to create the API to enable the application to call that, and in this way interacting with the blockchain engine under layer. So we have some customer, the demo customer at the time with different company in Vietnam. For example, Hospital is one of the agriculture company who like to use agriculture application to trade on distribution product of agriculture product. And Tobago is one also the agriculture company. They would like to use the Angry to store the data of the agriculture product and serving the export the product to outside Vietnam. And developer will use to VeChain platform to develop their application, and especially develop or move the application, legacy application to the blockchain environment. So VeChain platform, we focus on a variety of services. Like we can provide some functionality. Support different blockchain network. You can see, as I mentioned in our presentation, we at the time support Sawtooth, Hyperledger Fabric, and Ethereum, and IPFS. And maybe in the future we can develop other functions to support other blockchain engine. And the user of the VeChain platform can use the VeChain to create application to serve a variety of domain like estate and like agriculture and like contract something other. And in this slide, I would like to show some our visions, our mission, and our values from the VeChain. So our mission, so we can see, we try to provide blockchain-based cloud platform where users can design and the application backend on the blockchain without any expert knowledge about the blockchain. And our vision is a very big one. We would like to blockchainize everything and help the developer and help the user to blockchainize everything. And if we have many applications developed and deployed by VeChain, so we can create the app ecosystem. So the important thing, I think, the most important thing of the VeChain platform provide for developer and user is that to enable interoperability for the app, so we can use the data model and use the smart contract developed by the VeChain platform to deploy to support blockchain network like Ethereum or Fabric, Hyperledger Fabric, and so on. In this way, we enable users to develop one time and deploy everywhere as they demand. So, and also they accept, I mean, the coin and the business process on diverse blockchain network. And our value is that we based on a strong research. Is we starting point is the research project, and we carry many new innovation for our blockchain platform, and we based on the passion of our team. So this is very short of my presentation about the VeChain platform. So I hope you can understand. You can understand about our VeChain platform vision, mission, and our goal. So after that, I would like to introduce my colleague is Mr. Nguyen, and he will give some demo for you how to use the VeChain platform, and based on that you can more understanding about the VeChain platform work. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Minh. So I will share my screen. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you.
So while Dean is preparing the presentation, I was wondering, do you have a protocol, coin or token? How do fees work in VeChain network?
Yes, we already create the coin or cryptocurrency for VeChain, and also enable the function for developer to themselves create the coin for their application. So at the time we do not publish the function for public, because VeChain platform also project in progress. So the fees, yes, we define some rule for the fee for use of VeChain and services on the VeChain. But today, currently, we are still offer some very special user with free for the service. But when we publish this VeChain services to anyone, so we can expose the fee for everyone to see and to use.
Okay, thank you. Dean, go ahead.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So now I would like to introduce about VeChain platform and how you can use VeChain platform for developing a decentralized application. The first thing is this is the homepage of VeChain platform. We will show you some what can VeChain platform do for you, and some our solution application we we are developing based on VeChain and some technology, and some newspaper talk about us. For developing an application, I need to log in into the VeChain system with my account. And this is the user interface of VeChain platform. So you can see here, we will have some tab like network. It will help you create a blockchain network like Mr. Minh talked before is Sawtooth, Fabric, or Ethereum. So, or you can create a DApp on the blockchain network you deployed. Is a Sawtooth, Fabric, or Ethereum. You can see at here, I have one decentralized application is Trezor, or English name is traceability. It will have us to trace the history of product in the agriculture. You can see the API of application. You can edit the application, edit the configuration of application, or see the status of application, or simple you want to delete application. Now I want to create an application. New application. I will click on new project. For the demo, I will take the name is demo webinar. I want to create a decentralized application for manage student information. So I will description it the student management, and avatar is someone you like. It will be a URL of image, but I don't want to search it now. So I will take it as demo avatar. If you want to enable any feature, you can checklist and choose the network you want. At here, I want to deploy my application on the default network of VeChain. It is Sawtooth dashboard for demo, and click next. Here you go to the DeFi screen, DeFi configuration screen of your application. If you are designing an information system before, you will certainly know that one of the first steps when you want to design an information system is define the actor. It means who can interact with your system, or this can be a person or external system. They can interact with application. So because our application is student management, so I think we will have two actors here. It is they are teacher and student, right? And after we have the actor of the system, we will have to define the data model storage on the blockchain. Data model at here about the student information. So I will take some field like student ID, or student name, or student age, student class. The first one is student ID. I will name it ID, and the checklist is the identify field of the data model, and the name, student name, and student age, and something like class name. Right? But here you can choose which type you want to use. VChain provide you 3 type of a few. It is string for like name, object if you want to storage multiple. If you want to store an object in data model or file, it's like when you want to upload a photo or image about student or something like that. VChain will process the image and upload it to IP address cluster of VChain or public IP address cluster if you want. You don't need to care about how to run the IP address or how to run the application. VChain will care about it for you. After you have actor and data model, you have to you will have to define a method. It will help you interact with data model. And VChain provide you 3 type of method. It is create an object of data model, or update an object of data model, or get objects. At here I will create a method name is create student, and change the type is create. Parameter name, I will take the field ID, name, age, and class name. It means when I request a create student, I have to provide this parameter. Yeah, and actor name, it is which actor can call the method. At here, I will only want to teacher can call the create student. I don't want a student can create another student. All right. So I choose teacher and update student. Change the method type to update. Choose the parameter name and actor name. I still want to only actor can update student. And get student, it is get method, right? And when I call get student, I only want to pass a ID parameter to the method. So I choose ID, only ID field. And teacher and student also can call the get student to retrieve the student information, right? So I choose teacher and student here. Check it again. We will have 2 actors, a data model of data. It will be stored on the blockchain, and 3 methods for create student, update student, and get student information. And we click deploy. Now when I click deploy, the UI will send a request to the VChain service, and VChain service will generate some code, generate some service for your application, and VChain will automatically deploy your application, and you don't need to care about how to run and how to deploy your application. Click finish. Now you can see here application is deploying by VChain. The process will take a few minutes, I think from 5 minutes to 10 minutes for deploying. So the one thing you need to do is waiting. You can see the API VChain generated. At here you can see we also have 2 actors, teacher and student, and each of them will have a method. Teacher will have create student, update student, get student, and we also describe information of which parameter we have to pass into the method, and the response will the response application will respond for you when you call the REST API. This is the post REST API, and also for student we also have one method or one REST API is get student, right? You need pass ID and application will respond for you ID, name, age, and class name of the students. And you can also edit the application if you want, and click next will show the configuration again, and you can edit it. Click deploy if you want to edit, and I don't want to edit right now. So now you can see our application now is deployed by the VeChain. So now you can call the REST API for create student, update, or get if you want. This is the demo of how to create an application on the VeChain platform. I think you guys, it's just a simple application, but I think it will help you to understand how to do. Thank you.
Great stuff. So how does it work if I want to call the APIs? What is the URL? Because there I was looking at the name of the method at the end, but is that like be given chain.vm / the name of the decentralized application / the method?
Yeah. You only need to provide the URL at here and the name of method and the type of request you want to call, and it's done. Yeah, you can use some tool like Postman, or if you code an application, you can call a HTTP request, and you can call and you can interact with the application is deployed by VeChain.
Okay, so I was wondering if I want to create like a very fast decentralized application, right? And you mentioned that you were using Ethereum in the back end and or something like that. Can I deploy directly from VeChain front end to the Ethereum public network?
With the public network like Ethereum, we will deploy on in the future we will let user to choose Ethereum testnet or Ethereum public blockchain, and after that I will deploy the application on the network they choose.
Okay, I see. You know that RSK that they were presenting before, they have they are running on Ethereum virtual machine, right? They have a fork of that, so they use kind of the same or very similar infrastructure. Maybe you could also integrate with them very easily once you have the Ethereum connection, and their fees are quite slower, and the network is running on top of Bitcoin as well, which is quite interesting. So apart from these use cases you have in the website, are you working on some other use cases? Do you work on these use cases with partners? How does that work?
Yes, we have some several partners at the time. Robaco and Hostco, as I give information in our presentation. So we also have to look another partner to use the VeChain platform, and also would like to some other developer to connect with us. And then in this way, we enable them to use our VeChain platform in the very early process at the time test our VeChain. So if you have decided to use VeChain, please send to us email, and then we can open some service for the developer to use. Thank you.
Okay, so are these use cases that you have there in the website open source? So can I white label the front end that you have using the VeChain platform in order to create a similar use case?
Yes, we got publish some information about open source. So this is our roadmap. We will publish some code for the, some driver for open source blockchain network like Fabric and Sawtooth, and other if we connect or support a new open source blockchain network. So in this way, the solution, Fabric and Sawtooth can connect with us easily, and user can check the code and also use the code to connect with the VeChain in different way. So yes.
Okay, there's a comment from the community here that says, do you think that VeChain should provide a list of available services that allow developers to drag and drop them in order to develop their applications?
Yes, yes. Thank you for this comment. It's very interesting. So yes, we can provide the drag and drop functionality for the VeChain service, but for the short term in the future, we do not focus on this. Why? Because we would like to provide the function for developer would like to programming something to connect their application to the VeChain. It's not really drag and drop because the function has some restriction. And this way, in the future, long term, we will provide this, but in the short term, we would like developer to use our interface like Nguyen Tien already saw, and they can also use GraphQL and REST API to connect with us.
Yep,
Hello?
makes sense. So if I have a blockchain use case that I want to apply, for example, like supply chain for the fashion industry, how would be like the easier way to implement it through you?
Yes, the first thing you need to think about your business process of your application. And the second thing you have to think about the data structure of your application. Based on the two things, you can use the VeChain interface to create the API, design the API, and VeChain platform will export the API for you, and your application can call the API to do or to carry out the business process, your business process, and also help you to store the data of the application to the blockchain as you choose from. There are only two things.
So does VeChain have a program to incubate ideas from the community, or like a form where they can apply for these kind of things to get support or guidance or documentation?
Yes, indeed. Could you say again?
Oh, if you have a program to incubate ideas from the community, and how will that work? How
Uh,
with you?
This is our roadmap in this year. We will find some way to like incubate for the VeChain platform in this year.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, thank you very much, guys. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Do you want to add up something else?
No. Thank you for everyone for the listening our presentation and question.
Thank you for your time. It has been
Yeah.
amazing, and I like the dynamism of having a presentation with the real thing happening behind, which is quite amazing. So thank you very much. So at this time, we should have had Brandon from RSK giving a tutorial, but he had a personal issue, so we are letting that part for some another time. We will reschedule the first part of the RSK blockchain tutorial in the near future. So keep connected in our socials through Blockchain Hanoi, or connect with the people from Oraichain, RSK, of BitChain. We are going to be sharing with all of you the content of the different presentations that have been done today. And so yeah, looking forward to the next live of Discovering Blockchain. So thank you very much. Have a good day.